All right, we are going to try to make our first part in Fusion 360. And in order to do that, the first thing I have to do is make sure that I'm ready to go. So some things I already showed you earlier in the course. You're going to want to click on the waffle in the upper left-hand corner. And when you click on that, this is where it will save all of your projects. If for some reason yours starts looking like this, where right here it's got a home icon and the admin project over here on the left, you're going to have to click on the home icon so that you can go back to where you could see where all of your files would be stored. And once you do that, up at the top, you're going to click on New Project. You're going to name this project Lesson 1.2. And then I'm going to put 2023 just because I do this every year, and then I have different folders for each year. So if you could name yours the same, that'd be great. That way we're all the same. We all have the same name. And just hit enter. When you do that, that will become one of your project folders where you can save things to. And if I am going to save something to that project folder, I'm going to come over here and double click so that I'm now in that folder. Anytime you want to go back home to see where your other folders are, you click on the home icon, and that would take you back to where you'd have a list of folders. You could double click to go into any of them, and then you can see the files that you've made for that particular project. I'm going to go back home, click on the Lesson 1.2 2023 folder so that I'm in that, and then I'm going to close the waffle because if you close the waffle here, you're going to see more options in your ribbon when you're making other projects. So at this point, the first thing you do anytime that you're starting a new project is save it. And I am going to save this. I'm just going to give it the world's simplest name. If you notice, the folder I was in is now the one that is here for the name. If I needed to, I could select a different project folder just simply by clicking the arrow over here on the right hand side, and these are all the different folders that I have from doing this over the past few years. I want to be in this one called Lesson 1.2 2023. So as long as I'm in that one, I'm good to go. And I am going to call this Additive Modeling Block. It's not a very creative name, but when I hit save, that name should appear right here, and there it is. This is version 0. Actually, now it's version 1 because it has been saved for the first time, and so we're ready to go. If I click on the waffle, I'm in the Lesson 1.2 folder, and I can see that that file is available right here with the version that it is. I'm going to close the waffle so I have more options. The next thing you do anytime you start a new part is under the Create menu. So right here where the little arrow is that says Create, click on it and select a new component. So I'm going to name it. We're going to start to create components in here, and I'm just going to call this block because I don't have a better name for it. So where it says block, I just named it block, and I'm going to hit OK, and block will now appear right over there. This will be super important later that you understand how the file system works, because you can make multiple parts underneath this title, and each time you make a multiple part, it's going to add up, and we'll get to that later in the course, but very important. So I'm ready to begin actually making the thing that I'm going to make, and the thing I'm going to make is this. So I want to make this shape using additive modeling. The nice thing is it does have some dimensions for me right over here where it tells me how big things are. So I'm going to move this to the screen over here to the left so that I can see it, and you guys can follow along on the screen that's in front of you as I show you how to begin your first sketch or your first drawing. The first thing you do to create your first sketch or drawing is to click right up here where it says Create Sketch. So the furthest left on your screen, I'm going to click on it, and it opens up a little dialog box here where I can select one of these three planes to draw in. I like to draw on this plane right here, which is considered the XY plane. I know that this is the XY plane because this green line is my y-axis. You can see it right up here on your screen. And this red line is the x-axis. So when I hover over that, I have the green and red axis. If I click, I now have the green and red axis. It looks just like graph paper. The y-axis is now straight up. The x-axis is now horizontal. This is the way almost everybody thinks of y and x, which is why I like to draw in that plane. So there's a couple of ways I can draw this object that I'm trying to draw. The first way that I'm going to show you to do it is what I think is a very, very, very cumbersome method. And I'm going to click this line tool right here. When I click on the line tool, click, I now have an active box where I can click and draw a line, click, and that line is now done. Notice the next line starts from that one, and I can go over here, click, and the next line now starts, click, and so on. These are not good for me. I'm going to press the escape key to get out of this line tool, and I'm going to undo each of the lines that I just made. That's how you draw a line. The thing next to it is a rectangle. So if I click the rectangle, I can click, drag, and click, and I get a rectangle. I'm going to undo that. The one next to that is a circle. Oops, undo. And if I click the circle, I can click, drag, click, and then make a circle. I'm going to undo that. There's all kinds of shapes that you can do up here. Again, we'll get to some of those a little bit later in the course. For now, I just want to use this line tool. And use the line tool, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to start at the origin. And when I start at the origin, I want to draw a line that is straight up 1.5 inches. So I can go up here to 1.5 inches like that. And then I know it says 1.5 inches in the box, but I actually want to push 1.5, enter. And when I do that, I get a really solid black line. That means if it's black like that the computer understands everything about it. Now when I did draw that line, I noticed that it was in inches. If your computer is in some unit other than inches, you could just click on the line and delete it. I press the delete key to delete it. And over here, under document, it has your units. So if you click on the units, click, oops, I actually have to click on this little icon right here, click, it gets a different dialog box. Mine is set where inches is the default. I could set millimeters as the default. I could set centimeters as the default. I want to leave mine so that inches is the default. Anytime that I open now, it's always going to be in inches when I start drawing something. So I'm going to draw that line one more time. Click on the origin. I'm going to go up 1.5, enter. And notice that time I actually pushed the number in before I got to 1.5, and it made the line 1.5 inches. The next line that I'm going to draw, I'm going to start on the end of this one. So I'm going to go up and grab the line tool, click, start right here on the end of it, click, and I'm going to start going to the right. And when I go to the right, I'm going to make sure I'm going straight right, and I'm going to push 1.5, enter. And that line also comes in really, really black and dark, which once again means the computer understands everything about that line. It knows everything it needs to know to keep that line right there in that space. The next line I draw, I'm going to click on the line tool, click right on the end of the line I just drew, and go straight down. This time when I'm going straight down, I want it to be 0.75, so I pushed 0.75, hit enter, and that line came in, and it's also nice and black. Line tool, I'm going to go to the right, and this is also going to be 0.75, enter, and I now have that line as 0.75. Finally, I'm going to go down to that red line, and I didn't actually know that that one was 0.75, but I could figure that out based on my other measurements. Or since the computer is now telling me it's 0.75, I have to make sure that I type 0.75, enter, and it'll come in nice and black. I do have one line left to complete, and that's the line that goes across the bottom to connect this object. So I'm going to click on the line tool, start at the origin, go all the way across to where that other dot is. It'll snap on it. And it said it was 2 1/4, but that one came in nice and black, even though I didn't hit 2.25. Let me delete that line. I'm going to hit escape to get out. It's my line tool still active. I'm hitting escape to get out of my line tool. I'm going to go up here to this line and delete it, pressing delete to delete it. And I'm going to draw that line in there one more time. And if you want to, when you're drawing it, you can push 2.250, enter, and it'll come in nice and black. At this point, I am going to finish this sketch. So when I click up here, this green check mark where it says finish, all these measurements and stuff that are making it all messy, they go away. And this is what it looks like at this point. So I need to give this a little bit of depth because if you remember what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to draw this shape that they gave me in this PowerPoint presentation over here that looks like this. So I need to give it a little depth here. And I think the depth is also 0.75, even though there's not a dimension that tells me that. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use a depth of 0.75. To do that, I'm going to click it so it turns blue. So if I click anywhere else on the screen, it doesn't do anything. But if I click right here, click, it turns blue. And then I'm going to use this feature called extrude. If I click on extrude, I get this blue arrow, and I can use the blue arrow to drag it now. Or I can type right over here in this dialog box 0.75. And when I hit enter, I now have most of this shape done. I have most of that shape done now. What I am going to do at this point, though, is I'm going to restart and do this from scratch again, showing you a different way to start my drawing. So I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to hit undo, and it's going to go back to my drawing. Every time I hit undo, click, it's taking one of those lines away that I made. Click, 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 click. I'm back to the start. When I start sketching something, I just like to sketch the rough shape. So what I do is I take this line tool. I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to click, go up. I don't care how far. Click, go to the right. Click, go down. Click, go to the right. Click, go down. Click, and go all the way back over to the origin. So what I have now is I have the rough shape. But what the computer doesn't know is how long any of those lines really were. Notice this time they're blue instead of black. There are two that are black, which is nice because that means the computer knows where those ones are. But the other lines it doesn't know. And I can't finish this until I tell it where the other lines are. If I try to finish it, I will end up having some errors later on, and you don't want to have those errors. So this tool is what I'm using next, which is called the dimensioning tool. And I just got to turn all those blue lines to black. So I'm going to click the dimension tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start here and go up to this one because I know that that line was supposed to be 1.5. And notice it turned black. And now I'm going to click here and I'm going to go over to the other line. Click and click right there, 1.75. 1.5. 1.50. Enter. And that turned black. From here to here was 0.75. Click, 0.75. Enter. So I'm turning each of these lines black in a different way from what I did before. From here to here was 0.75. Click, click. Oops, I missed. Hit escape. I'm going to select my dimensioning tool again. Click, click. 0.75 is the right measurement. Now in this case it said that I was over constraining it. Let me try that one more time. If I do this one more time, click my dimensioning tool, click. If I go from here to here and go to the right, it's going to say this is over constraining it. So in other words, the computer already knows this dimension without me putting it in. So I can just cancel this one. I don't have to leave it there. I'm going to hit cancel and it goes away. I still got to turn that line to blue, so something about it isn't right. And if I hit escape a couple times, I can find out what it is by clicking on the line and trying to drag it. If I click it and try to move up and down, nothing happens. If I click it and try to go right or aha, it doesn't know where it is this way. So I need to tell it where this line is from this origin. And that was 2.25. So if I click on the dimensioning tool, click on the origin, click on the line, click, and tell it, click 2.25, now it'll be black. So at this point I am going to finish the sketch. I'm right back to where I was before, where I can now click on this shape, go to extrude, and I am going to extrude it 0.75, and this is right where I was before. Same exact spot I was. I sketched it two different ways. At this point I am still trying to work on finishing this shape, and this is the additive method, which means I'm going to add to what I just did. I need to add this on. And if I add this on, I'm going to go right here on this surface and click it so it turns blue, and I'm going to draw right on that surface now. So when I create a sketch right up here in the upper left, it's going to let me sketch on the object I already have. And I need to draw that little square right in here. So to do that little square, I need to use the line tool, and I'm going to start right here, go over, click, go down, click, go, oh, it didn't take that one, click, go down, click, go over to the origin, click, oh, not taking those. Let me click the line tool again, start at the origin, go up, click, start at the origin, go over, click, and there's my little square. Now notice in my little square, two of the lines are black and two of them are blue. So I'm going to have to dimension those two, and this square is 0.75 in all directions. So using the dimensioning tool, I'm going to start here, go over to this one, go down to the bottom, click, and write 0.75, enter. I'm going to start at the origin, go up to this line, click, go over, click, 0.75, enter, and I now have my box that's 0.75 in all directions. If I hit finish sketch, and then click on the home, so I can see it, there's my little box. Now I can select this to extrude, or this, because I divided this surface up into two shapes. That's what my sketch did. I took the surface I had and I divided it into two shapes. So I could extrude this shape if I want to by clicking extrude, and then I'm dragging this one out or pushing it in. Or I'm going to hit escape. I can extrude this shape, and that's the one that I want. So I can drag this out 0.75, 0.75, okay, and I now have created the shape that I was supposed to create, which looks like that. I can't get it on there anywhere where you can see both of them at the same time. I'm just going to go back one more time. I'm going to hit undo, 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 undo. I'm going back to the point to where I didn't have anything drawn, and I'm going to click this surface and say sketch. So instead of doing what I did last time, I'm going to do it the first way that I showed you, where I'm going to use the line tool, and if I start at the origin and go up, I can just type 0.75 right away. And when I do that, it knows how big that line is. And then I can click on the line tool, and I can start here and I can go over 0.75. And if I go over 0.75, it's automatically going to come in as a black line, and the computer's going to know everything about it. If I click on the line tool and go down, oops, I meant to type in 0.75 on that one. If I go down, start here, start going down, 0.75, it's going to come in as a black line. The computer's going to know everything it needs to know. I have to finish this on this bottom edge, so I have to go from here to the origin, 0.75, enter. If I hit finish sketch, click, there's my box. I can click on my box, hit extrude, make it 0.75, and my object is done. Make sure when you are done, you press save. When you press save, it wants to know who's saving it. If it was somebody other than me, you could type their name in, but in this case it's me. So I'm going to say user saved. I'm just going to hit enter or OK. I'll click on OK on the screen. Click. And that's now saved in my file. If I close this, it goes away. If I need to open this on any computer in the world, you can log in on any computer. Make sure that you are in your account. When you click on the waffle, it'll be there in this folder. If I just double click on it, it opens. And I could open this on any computer in the world because where you save it is on the internet, even though you were working on this particular computer. When you bring this to me, which is what you're supposed to do right now, is you're supposed to bring this over and show it to me. I am going to click on a couple things to make sure that it was built right. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on this sketch to make sure that the sketch was made right. And I'm going to click on this sketch to make sure the sketch was done right. I'm actually going to go back through all the way to the beginning in the timeline and step in one step at a time so that I can see how it was done. Let me start all the way over at the beginning again and go in one step at a time so I can see how it was done. There we go. One step at a time. There. Then I'll go back and I'm going to step in one step at a time so I can see how you did yours and make sure that it was done the right way. Don't forget to make sure your final project is saved.